Welcome back to Crocoduckscience, where we have a sweet logo and talk about stuff. And today, or this time, we have a short video on GMOs. So I think a lot of the general public doesn't really understand GMOs, or are scared of them, or don't like them, and other people like them. So we thought we'd have a little go at explaining what we sort of think they are and our impressions of them. So
Right, yeah.
what is a GMO?
Yeah, so first up, acronym clarification, GMO, genetically modified organism.
Good
Right.
start, good
It's
start.
always good to clarify your acronyms. Awesome.
We could clarify our anachronisms as well.
Yeah.
So genetically modified organism. So to me, almost everything is genetically modified.
Well,
Where's
genes get modified by evolution, right? So,
Yeah.
so GMO, I think more is pertaining to something that is artificially genetically modified. So something has specifically gone and modified an organism.
Okay,
that's
so
changed
this is
genes.
the human intervention angle.
Yeah, I'd
So
say so.
we've been doing this ever since things were domesticated, ever since we first domesticated. I think dogs and sheep must be the first things we domesticated.
Yeah.
We've been modifying them by effectively influencing their breeding patterns.
Yeah, so for, I think it's over 100,000 years, humans domesticated dogs over 100,000 years ago. And, you know, by treating them differently, we've actually changed their genes. There was a study that showed that domestic cats actually have their cuteness features, the genes that code for their cuteness features, in a sense amplified through domestication. So those are the genes that get them picked at the pet shop or the SPCA.
Right, yeah, so that makes sense. So that's genetic modification through breeding, which we did selective breeding for hundreds of thousands of years with animals and plants, and we've ended up with the domesticated species that we have today, like cats and dogs, all the crops we grow for food.
But that's still not what people really mean when they say GMOs.
Yeah, well, I think everyone's pretty happy with breeding, selective breeding, which is a form of genetic modification.
Because we've been doing it for so long, I guess is why people are so happy with it. I mean, it's been around since anyone can remember.
Exactly. So where does the trouble start, do you think?
What do you mean by the trouble?
The controversy.
The controversy starts with the hype, I think, and the hype starts, I don't know, maybe with that five-arsed monkey from The Simpsons. Was it Simpsons?
Is it
or was it South Park?
Some mutant
Might have been South Park, actually.
mutant modification?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're like, GMOs going horribly wrong, or, you know.
Right. Okay, so these type of GMOs, the new technology that humans can do today to make GMOs has become a lot more powerful, a lot quicker, and a lot more specific, because we've kind of gone past breeding and we've gone to a genetic level. So breeding works on the level of the individual, whereas genetic modification, works on the level of the gene. So this seems to be where the controversy starts.
Yeah, and I think the other controversy is with GMOs, you can do transgenic modification. So
that's an important point. So there's two types of genetically modified organism: cisgenic and transgenic. So cisgenic is taking a gene from a species and putting it back into another individual of the same species. So it's like a gene from the same species going back in. Whereas transgenic is taking a gene from another species and putting it into a different species. So I think people are more accepting of cisgenics. So, for example, where we work, cisgenics, you can take wild features from plants and bring them into domesticated crops and to introduce new genes.
Just amplify the wild features of a plant. So no one's going to complain if you make your corn ears have more corn on them. And they'd be all like, oh, this is crazy genetic modification. Your corn's just bigger, you get more corn for each ear of corn. But it's when people put, toxic genes from one animal into another plant to use as a pest resistance or something along those lines, and people start to get scared just because of the words that are getting used. You know, you're saying, I'm putting a toxin from something into a plant that you're going to eat.
So this is the Roundup Ready corn you're
referring
referring
to? I
to?
guess that's a good example. Yeah.
Yeah. So then people get a bit worried about that. So I guess that's the type of GMOs we want to try and talk about, because even though people are worried about that, the BT corn, where the plant produces a toxin that kills the caterpillar, I think, that eats it, but it's safe for us, and people seem to be worried about that. But there's things that we eat that are toxic to other animals, like chocolate will kill a dog, right? But we eat that, so it's a bit like that, where this kills the caterpillar, but it doesn't kill us because we have a caterpillar, whatever it is.
It's a corn borer bug or something,
right. And it digests its food using ammonia, not an acid. So we digest with acid. So in the presence of ammonia, that stuff crystallizes and kills it. But because we don't digest like that, it's no problem for us. And that's allowed us to increase yield by a worthwhile amount. Like, even though people were worried about this, it was still done because that's how much yield we got out of it. So things like this in the future might become more and more common as we look to use it as a humanitarian tool, because this technology has so much scope for improving what we grow.
Yeah, so something I wanted to get to on the transgenic side of genetic modification is, so we've improved plants quite a lot. In the future, perhaps we could be doing the similar things for ourselves, for humans. So changing what we're deficient in by adding genes from some other species. So, for instance, I think it's is it the hamster that can make vitamin C?
I'm not sure about the hamster. I think it might be the guinea pig can make vitamin C from its own diet. So this is an ability that we've either not had or lost. So wouldn't it be cool if we could just eat rice and make vitamin C from just our diet that might not have vitamin C?
Yeah, so at the moment we have to have dietary vitamin C, although it's not a lot. In the past, people have had problems with scurvy in populations where they didn't have access to vitamin C. If you could make your own vitamin C. Vitamin A is another big deficiency problem in developing countries. Yeah,
so all of these essential vitamins and minerals is a different story, but essential vitamins. So vitamin, A, C, D, E. I don't know what letter it is.
Biological molecule that we make from other smaller biological molecules, right?
Or don't. Or we get it from our diet. So if we moved the genes that I think already exist, at least in the case of vitamin C, it does. Into our bodies, so that we could just make these. We had the infrastructure within ourselves to make these vitamins. That would lower our environmental footprint and our carbon and our pollution, because we wouldn't have to be getting these things from our diet. We wouldn't be relying on plants or animals to give us this vitamin.
Yeah,
I think that would be a huge improvement on the situation, especially when people are still dying from vitamin deficiencies.
And there's some really cool things we can think about as well. So I was recently watching a anime called Knights of Sidonia, where the characters can photosynthesize. So they hang around and they're in space, and they photosynthesize. They get in sunlight and they just sort of float there in 0G, naked, photosynthesizing, and basically don't have to eat.
That's cool. I like that idea. There's a Dragon Ball Z character that can photosynthesize as well.
The first ones to do it.
And I would love to be able to photosynthesize. I think that
as a supplementary thing.
Yeah, I think it could only. Yeah, because the light that would land on my body's surface area wouldn't provide enough energy for my metabolomic energy.
Depending on
output.
your photo systems.
Yeah, well, I suppose we could make it more efficient.
Super efficient.
Yeah, we could make it super efficient.
Soup it up somehow.
Yeah, so
that's the other thing we can do. Well, it's the royal we. It's the other thing that
humanity,
top-notch scientists can do is ramp up existing genes, so they perform a lot higher.
Yeah. So besides BT corn, is there other genetically modified organisms that you've heard of that sort of got a bit of public outcry?
No, but there's some. Well, I don't know. Have you heard of any? I haven't heard of anything on that level.
I know that in New Zealand there's been modified pine trees field trials,
Right.
and that didn't end very well, I don't think. I know, like Monsanto and the big crops, the big companies that supply these modified crops, they've been around for decades now. And I did read somewhere that if humanity decided for whatever reason, whatever stupid reason, we didn't like genetically modified organisms and we went back to using non-genetically modified stuff, that millions of people would die. It's too late. This is a 30-year-old technology. Millions of acres are already planted with these plants. And if we stop doing that, people's lives are dependent on it already. So I don't know if that makes it moot, but that kind of adds a different angle to it.
And saying that a lot of at least the corn or the grain we grow to raise beef. But apart from that aspect of it, if we didn't have it, we certainly wouldn't be able to feed the world in the future anyway, even without.
Yeah, so it's about feeding people, and I think
wasn't eating beef, or it would still be out of proportion.
And cotton, it's the most modified thing ever, and no one seems to worry about that. And the only reason I can guess is because we don't eat it. But it's not like
we wear it all the time.
Yeah. So how can scientists try and get people to understand that it's not an evil technology? It can be used for good and has been and should continue to do so.
Yeah, so it can be used for really beneficial things, but there's also really good reason just to be sensible about it, which I think is what gets blown out of proportion.
Well, it can be used for bad. That's true. It's like a hammer is really good for building a house, but it also makes it easy to kill someone.
Yeah, it's also good for
tool.
road rage. So you don't go and ban hammers.
Yeah, you try and get people to use them what they're made for. So,
but that's another problem. It's hard to regulate these types of things because they're new sciences. People don't even know how to regulate them properly. With the invention of the CRISPR-Cas method for gene modification, you could potentially modify or at least remove genes from an organism, and you could never tell that someone had done that artificially.
It's an untraceable technology.
Untraceable, yeah. So that's a rightfully worrying thing.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So besides the humanitarian aspect, where we could use this technology to feed more people with less land area, less pollution, this really good stuff.
Or get cool genes like photosynthesis or being able to see in other wavelengths. Maybe you can get some genes to change.
That would be cool. So who sees
your eyes?
Insects and bats and things like that have different spectral...
Well, bats have got echolocation, but...
Yeah, well, let's
maybe
have
they've
that
got spectral vision as well.
while we're at it.
We can teach ourselves echolocation, that's okay.
Yeah, there's been a documentary about that. Yeah. So that's a little history on GMOs. Is there anything else we wanted to cover?
No.